Hello, my name is Joe Reilly. I'm a member of the Book Arts Roundtable of South Orange, New Jersey. We're having a show in the gallery right now. I hope you're enjoying the show. Look for my two books, Joe Reilly, and I'm here today to demonstrate for you this stitch here. It is called the chain stitch, and we will be using it to bind these two items together. Before we get busy, I need to acquaint you with some of the vocabulary we use when we're talking about books. A book like this is generally considered a text block attached to a case. The case is the covers, the text block are the pages. The pages that I have prepared for you are already here, and this is going to be our case consisting of the two covers and the spine already covered. The case is bookboard. Two pieces of bookboard centered in the spine, all covered already for you, and we'll deal with that in a few minutes. I want to talk about the pages. The pages have been cut and folded, and I don't know if you can see it, but already pierced with the holes that we're going to be using for the sewing. Let me show you a few of the tools I've used getting here and the one we're going to be using mostly from now on. This is the basic bookbinding tool. It's called a bone folder. We use it for sharpening creases after we've folded things, for pressing down things that have been glued to make the papers and the cloth smooth, and sometimes for scoring things to be folded later. These two are a needle tool and an awl. Both are used for puncturing the pages or the spine in this case, to make holes that we will use for sewing. The needle tool will be especially important for me today. Scissors, of course, another bone folder, a ruler for measuring the hole distances. This is our thread. It is 4-ply waxed linen thread. I will not need a needle to work with this thread because it's already stiff enough to go through the holes as it is. This is a very handy little thing. I make a new one for every book I'm going to sew. It's called a jig. It is basically a template where I work out the spacing of the holes, and then I use this tool called a sewing cradle to align the jig inside the pages, and I poke through with my needle tool where the holes are going to go. I go through all the way down, and then I have them all lined up. After that, I take the cover that I have already assembled and I lay the same jig right down along the middle of the spine. I often put a thin pencil line down there that can be erased later. I take my awl or my needle tool and I mark the holes so that they will align correctly when I'm sewing. On the spine, I add one extra hole at the top, which will not be in the pages because that is going to be used for what I call the anchor stitch. That'll be the top where it anchors the rest of the spine of the chain coming down. All right, with that said, let's get started. How much thread should I use? I'm going to need at least 1, 2, 3 times the height of the book, but I need a little bit extra for tying off at the top and the bottom, and I will use my scissors right now for that. This is the length of thread I'm going to use for the sewing. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention earlier that the top of the book is called the head, the bottom of the book is called the tail, the spine I've alluded to, and the part of the book that opens up, the opposite of the spine, is the foredge. So I will be using those terms as we go along right now. I start by starting on the inside of the cover. I go through the second from the top hole. And I'm going to pull that all the way through, leaving 2 or 3 inches that I'm going to use in a few minutes for a tie-off. Now I go through the top hole, which does not correspond to anything on the pages. I go through there, I can pull it through, Okay, I've started now my anchor stitch. Now, you can see maybe on this one, the anchor stitch a little bit better. It's a very small one. And if you see on this example here, 2 threads are going to come down for each stitch. So to make it look similar, I'm going to go back in and do a second go round on the anchor stitch as well, so that it will look in harmony with the other stitches. All right, here's where I start. I'm going to keep this needle tool very, very handy. I am not opening the hole any more than it already is. I don't want the holes any larger than they need to be. I am simply pushing the thread that's in here aside so that I can get the next length of thread to go through there again. So that will go through nicely now with a little bit of help. All right, pull it through. I don't need to tie, I'm not going to pull this very, very tight. I just want it a little bit tight, not too tight at all. And I'm going to go through there again now to the top. Go back up to the top. Nope, it's not going to go through without a little help from the needle tool. So there it goes. And as I pull this through, now another thing, the way the stitches look counts. So I want these 2 threads lying next to each other. I don't want them crisscrossed. I don't want one lying on top of the other. So I've got the look that I have that I want right now. So I'm going to tie this off right here so that it will be anchored down and hold the rest of the chain stitches. Now I'm tying this in a way that the end will stick out towards the back of the book. When I open the book after the stitching is finished, I do not want to see this thing right here. I want that to go to the back, and I will stitch it up later. I check this stitch right now, and I'm liking the way it looks. So I'm now going to move on to actually stitching the pages onto the spine, excuse me. I don't know if you can see it, but I have very faintly in pencil marked the head of the book, because I don't want to, you know, these things are not aligned perfectly with the head and the tail, and I don't want to start doing the tail stitch. Those will get erased when the book is finished. But I am going to now attach the top hole, and another vocabulary word is the holes that I'm stitching through are called the sewing stations. So I'm on the second station in the cover, but it's the first station in the pages. So now I'm going to pull this, and what I'm really looking for is to align the book properly with the head and the tail. It seems to be fine. So now I'm going to use my needle tool to make sure that I am aligned with the holes, and you can see that I am. Again, I'm trying not to widen any of the holes, just open it up. I can see light through there, so I'm going to put this through, and here it comes. Now I have to tell you that the first 2 stitches will be the tricky ones, because the book is not yet anchored. The pages are not yet anchored to the spine. Once I get down to the 3rd and 4th stitches, the book is already anchored, and they go much faster. All right, here is where the chain stitch is going to start. Now, it has come through there. I want to make sure these are up just a little bit here. So I'm going to sort of help use my needle tool to get them up. The 2 anchor stitches I'm talking about. And I'm going to put the thread underneath the anchor stitch up there, and I'm going to pull it this way a little bit, this way. I'm not tugging on it to kill it, just a little bit is fine. Now I'm going to have to use my needle tool to make sure I can get back in through the correct hole in here. It might be easier to start here this time. Get that to come through. And this goes back in here. And here it is, good. Now again, when I pull this down, what I'm trying to do is to get the two threads to lie next to each other. They're looking fine. So let's go on to the next sewing station. Here we are. I'm going to leave that in there for a moment, and I'm just going to use that to get this under here. Come on. About a little cooperation there. All right. There we go. I'm doing my best to keep the stitching to look straight on the inside as well. Yes, this one's going to be a lot easier, I can tell. Okay, I'm going to move this thread over a little bit to make it look like it's lying side by side. And there it is. Now I'm going to keep going, same rhythm, through all the sewing stations. Come on. It seems like the holes through the pages, which I poked a few days ago, have closed up a little bit, making this job a little bit harder than it normally is. Pull up a little bit, pull down a little bit. No need to pull it too tight. It's going to be fine. By the way, the waxed thread means that for the tie-off at the top and the tie-off at the bottom, one knot will hold it. When you knot something that's waxed this way, it's going to hold as if it's been glued. So you don't have to worry about a double knot or anything like that. The holes seem much smaller than they should be. No, I got to grip this way now. Come on. Many people will actually sew this with a needle instead of my method of simply using the thread. That makes it easier to get through the holes, but it also widens the holes for me with the two lengths of the two thicknesses of the thread when you've gone through the eye of the needle. So I would prefer to keep the holes a bit smaller. But the book is very stable now. This, by the way, that just fell out of here, this is a little identifying thing that I put to make sure it's, I can tell the front of the book since the front and the back covers look identical. And it also lets you put whatever you want on there. These books can be used as sketchbooks, as journals, maybe for recipes. I made the first one, this one, 4 years ago as a sign-in book if I'm at a show or something. And it is still going strong, has not loosened or anything. So they make a good sturdy book if that's what you're after. Come on now, let's get this one going through quickly. All right, looking good. Oh. I think I see what's happening actually. I'm standing up demonstrating this, and normally the book is lying flat, and I think I'm closing the holes with my thumb as I'm holding the book up instead of laying it down. Maybe that's a little reason why they're getting tighter than they normally would be. Let's leave that in there. Get this done. All right, come on now. Open up those. No, need a little bit more help with this one. Actually, I shouldn't. It looks pretty good. All right, here we go. There we go. Looking good here. Fine. Another reason to give yourself extra thread. I don't know if you can see, but see how much that last hole has closed up? They used to be open. And that's why I'm having trouble getting that thread to go through the second time. Okay. And now okay. And now I'm coming down to the last station, the last hole. This is a little bit different from the others, and I'll show you right now why. Okay, came through there. I'm gonna go under here. And now, I'm not gonna go back in through the pages. I'm going to pull the pages aside. I want the thread to come out at the back of the book, go back through the hole, but not through the pages. So I'm pulling, well, maybe a little bit more help here. And this will go in here. Pull it through. And now what I have to do is I have to tie it off so that it will, hold on the bottom, anchor it on the bottom. So I need to go under between the pages and the cover. Get this to go under here. No, I need it up a little bit higher. I might even try the awl on this one. I don't want to pierce anything. I just want to separate the pages from the cover. All right, here we go. When I'm through here, I can pull this and then tighten it back down again. All right, now I'm just going to get this to go through here. A little bit more. Come on. Pull this through. Alrighty. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to pull this up next to the stitch, come back through the loop here, and gently go behind and between the pages, between the pages and the cover, and I'm going to pull it tighter and tighter until it makes the knot right in there. And that is the end of the stitching. It should be nice and straight, which it does look like to me. The inside looks straight also. I have to snip these off here. Just, you can leave only about 1/4 inch, that'll be fine. And the book is done. There's a little bit of space between the boards and the pages. The boards are protecting the edges of the pages that way. And I'll put this back in here. I can write anything I want on this, journal, sketchbook, anything here, write my name. So I think the book is done. I'll go back eventually and erase some of these little marks in here. But, oh, by the way, I bound the pages with these extra pieces of paper just to try to hold them steady so the pages would stay in alignment when I was working them through the holes. Okay, so again, my name is Joe Reilly. This is called The Chain Stitch, and I hope you enjoy the show in the gallery. Thank you.